welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining. I won't show you my ugly mug again for too long, but I will go through the agenda. So we'll go through the basics of the phones and what's currently there. We'll take a look into the HT series, which is the wired headsets. I'll also go through some updates on the hotel phone. So the hotel phones do already exist, but they have brought out some new features, making it better than it was before. And then finally, we will review the new X7A touchscreen handset that also includes the optional USB camera. You may have seen from our marketing that there is some prize giveaways today. So we will at some point be doing a poll, and then out of everyone that's answered the questions, 2 people will be chosen at random to win a prize. And there is also a promotion that we're about to launch, which I will give you the details right at the end, but for now, hold your horses and we'll find out more in a bit. As always, I'd love to hear your questions, so do feel free to ask as we're going along. You've got a speech bubble on the right-hand side. If you pop your question into the box, I will stop to answer. And if there's anything I don't know the answer to immediately, we do have your details, so I'll come back to you after the webinar. So beginning with part 1 of today's webinar, which is the overview of the Fanvil range. So just very briefly here, we've got the main series, which is the XU series. So this one on the top pictured at the left, and this consists of 4 primary units. So you've got an X3, an X4, X5 and X6. These range from lower end, more basic, to higher end with larger screen and BLF keys, just like this one pictured here. And then all the phones in this range, including the lowest end, the X3U, they've all got colour screens, and they should fulfil most standard IP phone requirements. To go with this, you've then got the X series, which would be considered a more high-end series. So that's these other ones here, but they've also got other features to make it suitable for more specific requirements. For example, as you can see here, this one that we've got at the top, it's got a decent sized colour screen and loads of BLF keys. So this one, you've actually got 42 keys, physical keys on the phone itself. And then you've got the page view giving you 106 in total. Now this is probably the most you're going to get on a phone without having to buy another expansion module. So most other IP handsets in the market, you'll get maybe a maximum of 30 on the handset itself, and then you've got to buy an extra piece of kit to get more. This one here would really be suitable for receptionists. You can actually also get it with a microphone coming out of the top so that you can make announcements over a PA system. And then these other 2 here, as you can see, are your more sort of high-end business level executive type, or maybe for your directors with the large screen and the touch screen option as well. Bit more detail on the XU series, which are the primary IP phone handsets. So as you can see here, we've got the entry-level option at the bottom, the X3U with the smaller screen, followed by some mid-range handsets. Now these have got bigger screens and digital BLF keys. You will notice here that the X4U and X5U are very similar. Now, apart from the slightly bigger screen on the X5U, the main difference here is that the X5U has inbuilt Bluetooth. So if that feature isn't required, you can save your costs by going for the X4U instead, to not include the Bluetooth, but also you're not sacrificing the other features like the screen and the BLF keys. The X4U does have a USB port, however, so if you did go for that model and your customer decided they wanted Bluetooth further down the line, you won't need to replace the phone, you can just use a Bluetooth dongle. The next one up at the top is the X6U. So again, we've got an even slightly bigger screen, and here you've got 12 physical keys and with page view giving you 60. So again, it's a pretty high number without having to buy an expansion module. All of these phones in this range are PoE and gigabit, so as I said before, they should fulfill most of your standard handset requirements. Moving on to part 2, the HT series. Very small series, recently launched. These are the wired headsets. It's pretty simple. There's just a single earpiece and a dual earpiece. Quality-wise, they're pretty decent. The earpieces feel quite nice. They look good. The headpiece itself isn't too flimsy. They're not a high-end headset by any means. They do have a noise cancelling microphone, but I would honestly say that the quality of that won't necessarily be as good as a headset that you might spend £100 on. So I would describe this as a decent budget headset that you can use for home working or for most standard offices. But if you are looking to install in a large call centre, then you probably want to invest in something a little more. But as it is a decent headset. It's a budget headset. And for a lot of people that just need a standard headset without breaking the bank, then this is what that gives you, and it allows you to keep within the same brand as well. Now we're going to take a look at the new hotel phone range and the changes that were made in comparison to the existing phones. So here is the new range of hotel phones. We've got 3 models within this range, all of which are available in black and white. This part's quite important to a lot of people. If you can imagine your customer spending loads of money on doing a hotel, making it look nice, and then they're having to stick in an old, dated, clunky looking phone in the corner, which will just throw off the whole aesthetics. These new designs here are pretty sleek, and having the option in the white as well fills that gap in the market for those hotel owners that think black just won't go. So here on the left, we have the H2U, which is a fairly basic slimline phone. So these are good for where there isn't much space. And then we've got the 2 desk phones here. So the H3 and the H5 are exactly the same size. They're very similar. The difference here being that the H5 has a color display. Now, you may be wondering, why would you go for something with a color screen for a hotel? Why would you bother? You know, it's not being used as an office phone. The user isn't making calls 10 times a day. They don't need to be able to see a screen if they're making the odd phone call here and there, which is totally right, and it makes sense. But this screen here is more for promotional services. So you can actually customize it so that it has on it the hotel's logo or maybe some contact details or something else. The example that Fanvil showed us when they brought the phones into the office, they actually had uploaded an image showing a dinner offer from the hotel's restaurant. So it said it was something like 2 courses for $15.99, and then it had a picture of a really nice plate of food, which I thought was really cool and exciting. I don't often see that, or certainly up until recently haven't seen that in hotels. And you can rotate between more than one image as well, so that's something you can pre-configure. So it becomes a really cool way to promote your services. Both of these come with the USB ports, and they can also be used on Fanvil's device management service if you want to manage these remotely. Closer look into the H3 and H5. So again, these are available in black and white, just like the slimline model. The USB port that I mentioned earlier is mainly just to act as a charging access so that guests can charge their personal devices like their mobile phone. And then on both models, you've got 6 programmable keys. So that's where you would set it to call some pre-configured numbers, for example, for room service, the concierge, front desk, even an emergency number, you know, whatever else is available that your customer wants. I'll go through some key features here of the H2U, which has had the most updates compared to the pre-existing H2. So the first change they've made is they have updated it to hold 2 SIP accounts instead of just 1. They've also upgraded the audio quality with the use of Opus codec, which means where there's low bandwidth or high bandwidth, it will adjust during the call without reducing the quality and thus keeping the call quality high. You can also set up 10 speed dial keys. So the receiver underneath is where you would specify what those numbers are. So it might say for front desk dial 001, for room service dial 002, etc. It can also support 3-way conferencing. They're wall mountable, so you can save space. And they've got a speakerphone as well, so you can speak hands-free using that. For these, you've got the flexibility to power either via PoE or with a power supply. And then another thing that they've introduced, which is pretty cool, is they've actually now made it resistant to high humidity. So you'll often see a phone like this maybe in the bathroom of a hotel because they need something small. So if you are taking a hot shower, the phone can get wet or get some condensation without causing any damage. Here is a comparison of the H2U compared to its predecessor, the H2S. So the immediate difference here is the nice design. It's slimmer, it's sleeker, it's tidier. We've already covered some of those features like the zip line upgrade and the higher audio quality, but you may also notice that on the previous one, the H2S, the busy light is on the base of the phone, which is often the case with these design type handsets, but they've now moved it to the bottom of the receiver. And then one of the bigger enhancements being that speakerphone, so allowing you to take a hands-free call, whether it's on the side or wall mounted. Here we've got a close-up. So as I mentioned before, you can set the 10 speed dial keys with the list on the receiver, so users can get the service that they need quickly. But then you've also got one programmable DSS key, which can add a big feature depending on what you're using it for. For example, you know, not only would the phone be used in your hospitality, typically like a bathroom, but you can also then use that in other scenarios in the hotel to address door entry. So, for example, someone that's wanting to enter the hotel who isn't a guest might call the front desk. They'll pick up this phone. They're happy for that person to come in, and they'll press that key that will release the door and let that person to come into the hotel. And then here on the right, we can see the speakerphone that I mentioned. So that sits at the top of the receiver. So when it is wall mounted, you've got the speaker in front of you. It's not hidden underneath. And then at the bottom there is the busy lamp, which will either be green or red, depending on whether or not you're on a call. Now let's take a look at some application scenarios. So obviously, we've mainly mentioned hospitality. So in this example here, on the left in a hotel room, you'll probably put one of the H3 or the H5 because it's a desk phone, and then you'll use the slimline phone, the H2, to go in another room, most likely the bathroom. Or if it's a big room like a suite and you've got some corridors, you might stick one there or right next to the exit door. Here's an interesting one showing you that it's not just for hospitality, but you're basically making use of that slimline design for any other areas where space may be an issue. So the example that we have here is the ticket stations at an airport. So the desks are small. The airports will have already invested hundreds of thousands of pounds to build these, and up until now will have been using slimline analog phones because that's their typical design. Now, when moving to VoIP, it can be a problem because if you look at most SIP phones in the market, they don't have this analog type design. They are more as a desk phone for office use. And in reality, you know, they're not going to change the desks and spend another hundreds of thousands of pounds just to make room for a phone. So with this coming out now, it does fit quite nicely and fill that gap in the market, and also anywhere else where space may be an issue. So it might be a cashier's desk at a shop, or a seating hostess at a restaurant, you know, where they've got the plinth to take their reservations. Again, these would fit really nicely in a situation like that. And then lastly, we've also got corridors, you know, so any building really, but the examples we've got here, so could be halls of residence or hospital building. You know, usually you'll have phones dotted around in case someone needs to call for an emergency, maybe something's happened in the hallway, but it gives you a nice, especially using this small one, it gives you a nice discreet location to pick up calls and make calls when needed. Right, now I did mention we'll be doing a poll to conduct, so I'm going to go through the questions in a moment, and as a thank you, you have the chance to win one of the two new X7A Android phones and camera. So we're going to be talking about this in a moment, and two people at random who have answered the questions after the webinar will be chosen to win one of these. So for now, I will start with question one. One moment, please. So, question number one, who is your preferred desk phone manufacturer? Now we've got Farmville, Yealink, Snom, Polycom, and other. So I'll wait for those to come through. Okay, I think that is, oh no, they're still coming through. One sec. Yeah, okay, I think we're done. So let's move on to question number 2. What are your predicted Fanvil sales for the next quarter? So we've got 0 to 10, 10 to 50 units, 50 to 100, 100 more or unknown. Just do your best with this one. If you don't know the answer, that's okay. You do have the option to put that there. But whatever information you could give us would be appreciated. Right, so still trickling through. I'll give you one more moment. Yeah, okay, thank you. Let's move on to question number 3. Which Fanvil range is most popular among your customer base? So we've got the H series, which is the hotel phones, the X series, which is those desk phones that we looked at before, all other products, or other. Just give you another moment with that. Okay, moving on to question number 4. Would you be interested in testing the new HT headset in an NFR offer? So we've got yes, no, or not applicable. By NFR offer, we mean the chance to buy it at a significantly reduced price so that you can test it without investing too much. Okay, I'll give you another sec with that. They're still coming through. Okay, and now question number 5, last but not least. What PBX platform do you use? So we've got some main ones here: 3CX, Asterisk, Broadsoft, NEC, or other. I'll just give you another couple of seconds before we close. Yeah, okay. Great. Thank you for that. We'll be in touch after the webinar, like I said, to contact the 2 winners. But for now, let's have a look at the phone in question. So the X7A Touchscreen Phone. Now, this isn't Fanville's first Android phone on the market. Some of you may be familiar with the older C600, which is this one here on the left. It has now been discontinued, and this one looked more like the tablet style phones. So there's no actual physical keypad, but the new X7A is more flexible in that way. So you do have the large touchscreen, which is very similar size to the C600, but then you've also got the option of that hard keypad. So for me, for example, the phone that I use in the office, I've got a very large touchscreen, which I use for BLFs. But then actually when dialing, rather than using the dial pad that comes up on the touchscreen, I prefer to use the physical keys. That's just me. I guess maybe slightly a little old-fashioned in that way, but everyone's got their preferences. So you do have that flexibility here, whereas you didn't before. As we can see as well, they've also updated the Android level to 9. So generally, it's recommended for devices to be level 8 and above to take on the latest apps and features. So it is pretty current. They've also heightened the quality of the screen itself. You can even see in the picture, difference is night and day. And they've also added built-in Bluetooth. There's built-in Wi-Fi as well, but before, for the Bluetooth, you needed to use a dongle, therefore taking up the USB port. Then we've also got with this one an optional CM60 camera, which you can use for video calls and will also plug in via the USB port. Here is a list of the features in more detail. So again, it's the Android level 9.0 with a 7-inch color touchscreen. So it's fairly sizable. You can have up to 112 BLF keys on there as well, which would be on the screen itself via a page view. They've got Opus codec support for the high quality calls. And as mentioned before, we've got the inbuilt Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. For headsets, it does support EHS, so you can use a wireless DECT headset with it. And then you've got 2,000 entries in the phone book. And as most standard phones do, this one also runs over PoE. The display itself is customizable. So if we look at this main display example that they've got here, you've got a few BLF keys on the side that you might set to be your most commonly called ones. You've got your standard Android style icons to get to the different places quickly with a bit of a clock view on the left. But if we look at these other options that we've got here on the screen, you could set it to fit BLFs in the entire screen. You could have it in a list view rather than a grid view. Basically up to you, however your customer wants to do it. One of the other great things about this phone is that you can connect it to a smart TV over Wi-Fi to have the video feed show on a larger display. So this is where, in conjunction with using it with the camera as a video phone, that can be useful, especially if you've got multiple people on a meeting. So there's no cables, it's not via HDMI or anything like that. You just need the TV to be on the same Wi-Fi network as the phone. And then there's a simple bit in the settings where you just find the TV as a device and connect. Taking a look at the camera more closely. So one of the really cool things with this camera is that it has an extendable cable at the back. So if you look at this picture here, where it sits on the phone, you can see that the cable goes out of the camera, around the back of the phone and into the phone itself via the USB port. But that cable can extend out. So let's say if you keep your phone to the side, which most people in the office do, you've got your phone to one side and then in front of you, you've got your computer or your laptop. If you're wanting to make video calls, it would make sense for it to be in front of you, but you're not going to move your phone. So what you can do is have the camera plugged into the phone, which is where the call is coming from, but then pull it out and attach it either to your laptop or your computer so that you've got that front view. It also works well in dark rooms, so it's specially designed to work where there are lighting issues and to compensate for that. And it's also got a wide angle lens as well, so it should cover more area. There is a security cover on the lens for privacy, and if you want to close it when you're not using it, but it's also rotatable, so you can actually rotate the camera away when it's not being used. The wireless connectivity that I have already mentioned. So this one supports 2.4 and 5G Wi-Fi. The Miracast is what is used to connect to the TV, to the big screen. So no need for cables, no cable management. It's nice and tidy. And then, as we said before, it's got the inbuilt Bluetooth as well. So with that, you can connect your smartphone to the handset to take and make calls via that. So if you have a desk phone, but you also have an office mobile phone, you're making your life easier by having those two sets of calls coming through one device. But not only that, you're giving your mobile calls the high quality that you get from the desk phone. So you're actually making it better. And you can use a Bluetooth headset and have that connected simultaneously as well as your smartphone. So it means you can then take your desk phone calls, your mobile phone calls, all through one phone and all via a Bluetooth headset if you wanted. Furthermore, outside of it being a desk phone, as it is, you can also run various Android apps such as Zoom, WeChat, Teams, etc. It does integrate with door entry as well, so you can have the video feed when someone's at the door. So it integrates with Farmville's door entry. We have also tested it with the 2N door entry that we sell. And then you can use it also for video surveillance as well, if you just want to have the video feed running through the phone all the time and to do a bit of broadcasting. If you do want to try one of these, this is an offer that we are launching as of today, ending end of October. So you can get a free CM60 camera when you purchase the X7A. This one is limited to one per company and is approved by Fanvil. So it basically means if you've already bought it from one distributor, you can't then buy it from another. We will be sending an email out to all of our customers, and with details on how to purchase this. So if you're not on our mailing list, or you're not sure if you're on a mailing list and you want to be, just pop a message in the question box, and we'll send you a link to join so that you don't miss out on that. So that's it for today. I haven't had any questions so far, which I think is the first time I've not had a single question as we're going through. But if anyone has any questions now, please feel free to pop something in the box. And if you're not sure but something pops up later, that's our email address there, which is contact@provu.co.uk. Or you can call and speak to a member of our technical sales team, which is 01484 840048, and they are on option 1. I will hang around for a minute or two to see if any questions come through. No, nothing yet. Question, is it USB? If we're referring to the X7A, it does have a USB port in it, and the camera that plugs into it is via USB. What is the connectivity of the HT headset to the handset? It is RJ9. I'm pretty sure it's RJ9, but it's actually QD, so it comes with that bottom cable, which technically suggests they may be bringing out other cables if you wanted to plug it into something else. Is there a USB headset option? At the moment, no. They haven't brought one out, but like I said, that headset that they have, I'm pretty sure was a QD. So we should be able to, I think that means they are planning to bring out more, but I can actually double check on that and come back to you. There's a couple of you that have asked if it's USB. So I will double check if that will be an option in the future. I've also been asked, can it be a 4-core plug? I don't know the answer to this question, so I can't tell you that right away, but I do have your question and details here with your email address, so I will come back to you on that one. Okay, I'll give you another moment or two in case any more questions come through.